So B and I were having a conversation about content planning for 2023, and we thought we should turn this into a podcast. So we did. So I hope you enjoy our conversation.
Hello and welcome to the Simple and Smart SEO Show,
where we provide tips and advice to improve your website's search engine ranking.
I'm Brittany Herzberg, SEO copywriter for holistic health and wellness pros who want to show up as the answer to a Googled question.
And I'm Krista Waddell, an e-commerce seller and content creator. I help business owners communicate the value of their products and services through content so you can make more sales and grow your business.
We're business besties who love learning and sharing what we've learned. So what are we waiting for? Let's jump in.
Right here, the quarterly content focuses. I've also been doing this where I'm like, okay, for this quarter, this is the product that I'm focusing on.
I like that a lot.
So, but then I love what Brenna said about the pre-launch. And so like for Collage and Wood, we're always in pre-launch essentially for something. Because we're in pre-launch for a sport or we're in pre-launch for graduation. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of an interesting way to look at it. And so I'm like, oh, that's how I will look at it from now on.
And I have a thought, and we can come back to it about that I've recently been tipped off to.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So I had a content planning session with Christina Hall last week, and I know her through Meg Yelani. She does all things social media. She's one of the people that I invited for 2023 podcast interviews about cool. Figuring out which social media platform you should be focusing on with the SEO angle. But anyway, I had a one-to-one call with her. And one of the things that she said, she was like, well, do you want to be doing open cart, closed cart for the case study training? And I was like, I mean, it's kind of something that it's hands off for me. I have Voxer, messages that I'll need to attend or need to tend to. But other than that, it's kind of like self-sufficient. And I did that very intentionally. And she's like, well, then maybe you could, if you want to launch it once a quarter, if you want to launch it like once a month, meaning I could have like the first week of every month could be like, hey, remember that case study training, and do like a little pre-launch all the time. So I'm going to kind of feel it out. I'm going to do open cart, closed cart this time, do open cart, closed cart, I think in March. And then from there, just kind of like work out any of the kinks and be really specific with like, this is what's going on, and help me get data and testimonials and figure out what to tighten up. But so once a quarter or even once a month, you could just all pre-launches. And this is what Brenna said, is like just putting that extra focus on whatever, like drawing attention to it.
Right.
I like this.
Okay. Well, so then the next one is setting profit and revenue goals, because I learned this from Jamie Troll. Like you just got to know your money.
Yep.
And like, I'm so excited because I got my final paycheck from Collage and Wood this year. And I'm like, okay, we made it. We made it through a full cycle, a full year of being self-employed. Yeah. And this is what my numbers are. And so now I have a very realistic picture of what this looks like without an additional income. Because one thing I'm realizing, a lot of people have an additional income, there's a lot of side hustles going on. Even at the most shiny top, whatever, you know what I mean? I just had a client, I'm not going to drop her name, but just had a client that was like that. And I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, what? And I tried to keep my face neutral.
That's the person that you and I talked about, right?
Maybe. I think so.
Okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But I had that happen recently too with another client who's very well known. And it's interesting when you realize that, they're not just doing this one thing. And I'm not sure. I'm curious if it's because of money, like financial reasons, or if it's just like, I'm multi-passionate and I like doing this, this, and this. And like, it gives them an outlet for all those things. Cause I can relate to that.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of both for sure. Because I know for her, she was like, this opportunity came along, and it was like me with teaching, I had a really great teaching opportunity that came along. It was super flexible. That was still going to let me, have an e-commerce store. So it's like, well, why not? Then you get benefits and all of those, things that are just so comforting to have, with a job, and you still get to do what you really want to do. I mean, it's like a win-win until you can't breathe, then you can't do it all. You know what I mean? So, I can totally see both sides of that coin. Okay. So, and part of the strategic plan is doing a SWOT audit every year. And I already do that as well. And then, this profit by product audit, I think maybe it kind of goes with this profit and revenue goals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably the same thing.
Just like a part of it.
Yeah. So I think I'll take that out because it's already right there. And then of course an SEO audit, like it needs to be done quarterly, but at the start of the year, it's like, okay, so I even did an SEO audit for myself and I did it just like we do for other people. And so, I've got the actual data right there, so that I can have my little notebook and I can do it again in March and compare,
Yeah.
Because I look at it so often, it's like, okay, but I need actual comparisons, So, and then great. Also an audit of an Etsy store or whatever type of, other e-commerce type thing you have, a social media audit, because it's like, okay, look, at the start of the year, what does your social media look like? I've never really tracked it. I can see over time it's grown. And, I've taken a lot of screenshots over the years, but I've never actually written it down. Okay, this is how many, right?
I like that a lot. Yeah.
And then from all that, actually making some goals, identifying which conferences I want to go to and when.
Right. And even which ones that you could speak at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Make sure, and that might come up with your SWOT analysis, but that's something, webinars, conferences. I have had, it was my intention. It was something that Brittany Bean told us about when I was going through her program. And she was like, look at what other speaking opportunities, because that's where the premium clients are going to be. That's where the people that she's encouraging us, we go through her program, we're looking to build a premium copywriting business. So the people that we want, the clients that we want, aren't on social media really. They're mostly going to conferences, attending webinars, they're listening to podcasts, they're doing stuff like that. So it's like, where can you find those speaking opportunities? And what do you want to even talk about? But I feel like that might be part of you could file it under conferences or you could file it under SWOT too.
That is so awesome. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. The other thing this is what I really wanted to tell you. I thought of it. I looked for it, but I didn't really find the stuff. The stuff started finding me. So I had people that came to me, like Meg came to me, hey, will you create a sales page training? Sure. I had people come to me to speak in their Facebook groups, their paid Facebook groups inside their programs. So it might be stuff that you find, but even just you kind of thinking that way and putting that out there, you'll probably have people start approaching you.
Yeah. And you do such a wonderful job of networking. I mean, that's definitely a weakness on my SWOT is that I have really turtle shelled on the internet, and it's I'm good at putting stuff out, but I also, have a lower capacity for relationships than I used to. So that's a really interesting thought because networking needs to be a part of that as well. Intentional.
Right. And you can figure out whatever that looks like for you, because my version of it may not be what you want it to be. So you'll figure out whatever works for you.
Okay. So I'm just going to put, add networking because that needs to be a bi-monthly task or something. So I can add it to the spreadsheet afterwards.
Well, we've got the mini mind in January. So you've already got one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. See, look at you're already doing it.
Man, B, thanks, girl. That's crazy. Okay. And so then for each quarter, these are all the things that I want to do at the first of the quarter. Or if I was doing it for a client, this is what I would do for them. So it's review or do that content audit in Surfer and then create the graphics for social and then create the words for social. Jasper just integrated that chat GPT or whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
People
are freaking out about it. And I'm like, guys, it's a tool. It's not it's good. There's a purpose for it. There's a time and place for it, but it's not going to replace people. People still have to implement it or make it better or whatever. And it's just so funny because people are like,
Can I share with you my favorite tip for using that tool or any tool like that? It's about the questions that you ask it, and how you say you want to show up as the answer to a Google question. Well, it's the same idea here. It's if you don't know what you want it to say, or at least how you want it to come out, like what question you're trying to answer or be an authority for, the output is not going to be as good as if you do. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's more about framing better questions for the AI than expecting it to write well for you.
Right. And that goes into even a human interacting with another human, because that's something that's coming up a lot with like frequently asked question with the case study training. It has been like, what questions do I ask in an interview? And even I had this conversation, and I just listened to a podcast that I did with Dolly DeLong, where it was, instead of being really broad with like, could you write a testimonial about working with me? I could, but I'm immediately going to follow that up with like, what do you want me to highlight? So instead of like having that back and forth exchange, I can go to my client and say, hey, what wins have you had since working with me? I could start there, or like, what did you love about working with me? Or even start with, what do you want? What would have made the experience even better? Because then you're giving them something specific. They're going to go there and they're going to expand on it. So yeah, just anyway, asking better questions.
Yeah, that is so helpful too, because I need to go. I had a client who said, hey, look, I'll do a testimonial for you. But after talking to you and like hearing all about case studies and stuff, and, just all the things you've said over the years, I was like, I need to be real specific with, my question to say, because what do I want her to tell people? What do people need to hear in order for them to feel comfortable working with me?
And I think that showed up for me with my massage clients, because I just had conversations with people, and I had so many snippets that the way my brain works, I would have these conversations with people. And then after their session was over and they went home, I was jotting down notes about what they said. And then I'm also remembering it when like the next client comes in and says something about whatever. I can say, I heard recently that so-and-so is a good acupuncturist, or, oh, have you tried this thing? Like someone just told me that it worked for them, or anything. So I was able to take that, put it on my website. And when I was doing massage therapy only, I was attributing the testimonial to like initials. So if it was you, it was like CR. If it was me, it was BH, because I wanted to protect HIPAA. I hadn't asked them if I could use this, but it was stuff that came up in conversation and I still want to use it. But I'm getting off on a testimonial tangent. I could talk about this.
No, I love it. It's so awesome. So, okay. So the idea here is just in the quarterly responsibilities, it's like, okay, we have to review everything and make sure that everything's set up for the quarter, and that includes using tools like Tailwind. I'm back on the Tailwind train by the way, if I hadn't told you that.
You hadn't.
Uploading to Pinterest manually is a time suck and a drain, and it was just, it's not something that I want to spend every week doing, especially if I have a quarterly plan. I'd rather just mass produce the images over in Canva, mass produce the text using Jasper, and upload it to Tailwind and set it and forget it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like you got to figure out whatever works for you. I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah. And I've noticed, and with what Brenna was talking about with the pre-launch, it matches up with what happens on Pinterest with just regular pins. 3 months from now is about the time that a regular pin is going to get indexed by Google. So it's like, if I have a plan and I have it, uploaded and ready to go, it's going to be picking up steam by then, and then whichever one has really picked up steam, I can turn into an ad, for that really hot time frame over there on Pinterest. Right. And I can make it work like that, and then in the meantime, I do have a weekly task of an idea pin, just one idea pin a week.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like, okay, I'm still, using the platform in the way that they want, but as an e-commerce seller, both crystalwaddell.com and collagenwood.com have products on Pinterest. So there's also that element of search, so I feel pretty confident about that over on Pinterest. I just think that having the content in place in time will make it, better for running ads. So that's my goal there.
That's funny. I have a question for you about Pinterest. So the way that I had a conversation recently, I can't remember who it was with, but we were talking about how Reels, I use them more to like get in front of new people. So I use that kind of like a lead gen arm. And then any kind of like static posts or regular posts and even stories, I use them more as nurturing the people who are there. So it's like I get more people in with Reels and then I'm giving them stuff and talking to them and nurturing them. Do you feel like with Pinterest, the idea pins, the short little snippet video things, do you feel like that is similar to Reels in that it's helping you with lead gen? Or something that's even coming to my brain as I'm saying this is like everything with Pinterest just getting you in front of more eyeballs, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that both are lead gen, what do you call it, vehicles? But idea pins for sure are more like Reels in terms of lead gen, because that's the thing that Pinterest pushes out to people. So more people are likely to see an idea pin than are just like a static pin or whatever. But Pinterest in general is just that platform that is about making people aware of what they want. Like I asked this one girl who bought a collage for a boyfriend from me, and I was like, how'd you find me? And she said, I didn't even know what I wanted. She was like, I knew I wanted something for my boyfriend for senior night. And she's like, and I saw your poster or whatever. And she was like, that's it. That's perfect.
What a story.
Yeah. So that's Pinterest.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. Because like I said, as I was asking you that, I was like, oh, maybe everything over there. Because Pinterest is like, my brain is thinking of it with Linda Sadu knows the disc personalities, and working with her and just being involved in all the stuff that she's involved in. I have realized that like DISC, the I personality is much more like the networker. And I'm a pretty high I, but I'm also a pretty high S, which is like nurturing, taking care of everyone. If I'm at a party, like if I'm hosting a party, I'm making sure that like every possible drink combination is there so everybody has what they want. But I'm also going to like go around and make sure everybody's having a good time. And Pinterest, to me, in my head, in my brain, just like feels like that I personality platform where it's like, go meet this person, go over here to like, they're the master networkers. And that's what Pinterest feels like, because they're just like, go off, meet all these people. Have you thought about this? Look at this thing. And your story matches up perfectly with that theory.
Are you tired of working a job you hate? I'm Mark Savant, host of the After Hours Entrepreneur Podcast, and I know that feeling. I used to wake up every morning dreading the day, and after years of effort, I was able to leave my job and do something that I love. You can too. The After Hours Entrepreneur Podcast is your guide to building profitable six-figure years. I'm sharing the lessons that I wish I knew and bringing on experts like Pat Flynn, Jasmine Star, and more. Click the link. You don't need to dread Mondays anymore. Take action and build a life you love.
Well, you know what I'm going to say? That sounds like a great podcast episode.
We should totally do that.
Yeah, we should identify.
We've invited Linda on, and maybe what you and I can do is like ask her some questions, ask some of the other social platform people that we've got coming on some questions, and then we can kind of like make our guesses.
Yeah,
and then have the pros come back on and tell us if we're right or wrong.
Yeah, no, I love it, because I have this thing where I'm like, I believe social media can function as an employee, like an extension of your business. Yeah,
it really should. And I think you were the one that said that. And I was like, duh, of course, because it is like, and I think that makes sense with how I use it too, because I go and hang out over there. And what would I do if I had employees? I would be buddying up. I would be hanging out. Work would not get done because I would just be hanging out with people.
You'd be the Michael Scott. With more confidence.
Do you want to go play tennis? Do you want to go walk around? Do you want to with more confidence? That's better hair. No.
Yes, and better hair for sure. Yeah. So that's really interesting though, because it's crazy how you can make such alignments with each thing. You can align it to personality traits. You can align it to job titles. You can, it's just,
and that's just how my brain works. So hearing other people other people's takes, it's like, oh yeah, or
Yeah.
realizing that other people see it too. It's cool. I was the kid in school, like a side note. I was the kid in school. Like I remember one semester so vividly. I was in high school and I was taking world what was it, like world religions. So it was like all these religions. I was taking that class. I was taking calculus. I was taking
Good
a
group.
history. I had 6 courses: history, chemistry, 2 other ones. It doesn't matter. My brain is so interesting and also kind of like weird because I found a through line for all of those courses. I couldn't tell you what it is right now, but it kept me engaged in those classes.
Yeah.
It was just, so you're nodding like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No,
yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about because you found alignment. You found something that connected from one to the other and how you could, just essentially make the connection between each one of them. And that made it more interesting because understanding one more deeply helped you see the other one from a different perspective and understand it more deeply. And yeah, my brain works the exact same way.
Yes.
Because I was thinking, just like we were talking a minute ago about it aligning with, employee roles and DISC, but it also relates to content and a funnel, so I'm always looking for those associations. In education, there's a concept called prior knowledge, and it's a piece of teaching technique or whatever, where you want to associate prior knowledge with whatever new thing you're introducing. And that always connected with me because obviously you have prior knowledge about this one thing and you hear about this new thing and you're like, oh, they kind of work in the same way. And you make those associations and connections. And so I totally get it. I think, do I get it?
Yeah. Exactly. And I should not be surprised that we understand that because here we are. Like,
yeah, exactly. I think that's what brought us together. It's like our desire to understand and make connections, I think it really comes down to that. Okay. So awesome. Now back to the monthly task, everything that's in the green is the same, it's, Pinterest, making sure those things are done. And obviously if I got it done in the quarterly section, those things can be removed and then I can focus on other green tasks, and then handling the emails, scheduling the emails, monthly, staying on top of profit loss, because I did that really well through the first 2.5 quarters. And business was booming. And it kind of slipped in the 4th quarter, which was surprising for me. But I also wasn't paying as close attention to it. And I say one of the most important reasons for that, like paying attention, is because of spending on the other side. So if you're not meeting those profit projections, then you also have to cut back on the spending side. So, and then the UX task, that's just really making sure that the user experience is good. I have 2 major failures in this that could I tell you about?
Tell me that. And then I want to go back to the profit and loss, but tell me about your UX.
Okay. Well, with Pinterest ads, first was last year, I was selling these giant 22 photo props, number 22. They were amazing. I had the most amazing picture of this really like athletic dude in his graduation cap. I mean, that ad was killing it on Pinterest, right? Driving so much traffic. Well, guess what I forgot to do? What? I forgot to make sure that ad went back to that specific product page. And for some reason it wasn't. It was going somewhere else. I mean, it was somewhere like related, but if I like that product and I like that picture and I wanted to recreate that in my own life, and then I click on it and then I have to go on this wild goose chase to find it, I'm gone, So I was spending money on ads. So not only was I frustrating the leads that were coming through, I was also just losing sales because I could have easily served it right up. Like, oh, you like it? Here it is. You know what I mean? So that was mistake number 1. And mistake number 2 was also with an ad. So you'd think, Crystal, go back and check your landing page, girl, but
well, now you know, right? Like,
now I know. And hopefully this helps you as well. And so these are user experience tasks that I'm talking about, to just go back and check, make sure these links are working, because I was running an ad for my volleyball collage, which is the other big thing that a lot of people like over on Pinterest. So I had this Facebook ad running and it was doing great. I mean, I'm getting engagements on it that has shares. People are sharing. I got like 100 shares on that baby.
Wow.
It was amazing. Yeah. So anyway, I actually had somebody running a UX design thing on my site. I was just watching them use it and, try to order something.
Yeah.
On that page, there was a place where you had to upload the photos. And if you don't upload the photos, you can't buy the thing. And so what was the problem though, is that's a separate app and it had applied that twice. So there was 2 places where you're supposed to upload the photos. And if you didn't do both of them, it wouldn't let you add to cart. And that ad had been running for weeks.
Oops. Learning opportunity.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, like not even just you going back and using your own website and like poking around, but also you've done this where you've had people go do it and you watch them, but you can also just ask them, hey, would you go do this? And then let me know what you notice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cause like they're the ones that are really going to be able to tell you what's what.
Yeah. And if they're kind of good at tech, if they could record it, that'd be so great without you there. Yeah. Just because I can tell that when I'm watching people, like, hey, do you like it? Do you like it? Do you like it? I mean, people have also a feeling of, I don't want to say anything rude because I know this is your website. So, you have to think about that as well. But whatever you have, run with it, because even a friend just looking it over is better than, not having anybody look it over and missing some of these things. So
exactly. Okay. So to go back to the profit loss stuff, you like Jamie Troll. I like Jamie Troll. I've also been reading a book by Tiffany Aliche called Get Good with Money. I think I've told you about it, but she is saying the way that she is saying stuff is like definitely what and how I need to hear things, because she's talking about, she's getting into like the mindset and the, like the emotional and like just like the belief and like the stuff that people have around money. And it's good. And it's the things that I need to hear, because I noticed that in 2020, when I was stuck at home and I wasn't making money, I stopped doing a budget and I never really picked it up again. And that was not good. But I just wanted to put it in a closet, ignore it, because it was really upsetting to me. And I felt like I had failed, and really I hadn't, but I just like couldn't get past that. So working through this book with her, I'm working through some of those like mindset and belief things. So I just want to like put that out there, that if you or whoever, anybody else needs to like work through some stuff, that's been really helpful for me. It's called Get Good with Money.
Okay, awesome. If we ever make this into a podcast, we could link to it in the show notes.
I know. I'm like anticipating that it'll go live at some point, because this is good.
Yeah, it's really fun to talk about. And it was almost cathartic to write it down, even though it looks like a lot. It's like, it's cathartic. It's like, for me, I like to be able to check things off a list, So it's like, show me the monster so I can see what I'm fighting. And okay,
I did that. It's, and you and I had this conversation because we were talking about, you were sharing about like ADHD tendencies of like, you'll get to a project and you just like won't. I think I had this conversation with several people, but I relate to it for sure. I haven't been diagnosed with anything, but right now I have a giant client project. I have 2 other projects coming up very soon, and I've got my training. I haven't made the training yet. I haven't even really tackled the client work, which I've been sitting on for now like 2.5 weeks. But she's also slammed. So when I told her like, hey, I haven't touched this, she's like, I can't. Like, you're good. I can't. I was like, perfect. But instead of continuing to feel paralyzed for whatever reason, and I honestly don't know why or what's going on, I could go sit with that, but I would just rather like do stuff. So I took it and I made a master. There's like a master to-do list for the training. I listed out all of my done for you client projects that are coming up. And I'm going to break those down even further so that I know what's coming up and like what exactly I need to tackle. So seeing this for me is great, because I'm like, yeah. And even if hypothetically, not putting this out there for you, but hypothetically, even if you only tackle like half these things, at least you tackled half of them.
Right. And it feels good when you have a plan, because it's like, if you tackle half these things, you know that you tackled half your strategy. Like, it was strategic things. So it wasn't just like random, I got this done, woohoo, but you can actually say, these are going to have an impact on my business one way or another.
Right.
These are supporting the strategy that I created. So I'm making progress.
Exactly. And that's all you can really ask for. And then at least too, like if you are the person like me who tends to beat themselves up about whatever, you can, this is how I could approach next month better. This is what I could do next quarter. And maybe it's just something like you've had before with your heart stuff, and I've had migraines. Maybe it's just a matter of like life happened. I had a health thing.
Yeah.
Really sucks, but I was able to get blah, blah, blah done. And that's great.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah. I'm thinking that I could probably even add that the SWOT, just reviewing the SWOT and, every quarter, because it's like, okay, then you can kind of see like what's realistic, what's not, what's threatening your ability to be able to get those things done. So yeah, so those are like a list of the monthly things that I definitely want to make sure that I touch on and touch on for clients. And, this is the best thing, I think, just because like working for other people, you have to be able to demonstrate what you're doing, and it's rare that we take the time to write it down for ourselves. So, now I can say, hey, this is what I offer, this is what you're going to get if you work with me,
Yeah. On that note,
and it's
you were talking about you have to be able to demonstrate stuff. Next year, the biggest thing that I'm going to be doing is doing case studies for the blog posts, because I like case studies are my jam. So if I focus on sharing those and sharing what that can look like, then I can also like take that and repurpose it, because I can talk about it on social media. I can go and do like little green screen where I've got like my little face and I'm talking about what I did, all of that stuff. So yeah, that's going to be my strategy, and I'm going to make myself do it. And I don't care if it's long or short, and I can always go back and optimize it, but I just need to like crank out some content. So that's going to be my goal.
Hey, are you a woman who runs her own business? Someone who knows they need to put themselves out there a lot more, but perhaps you feel paralyzed with overwhelmed by social media and everything you could be doing? I'm Rosie Parsons, an award-winning personal brand photographer, contributor to Entrepreneur magazine, and the host of the exciting new weekly podcast, Build a Brand with Rosie Parsons. On the show, I share tips and interviews with the leading experts in marketing and business so that you can raise your profile and, more importantly, get more clients. I'd love to see you there.
Yeah. And that's all very meta. And it's, that's the crazy thing. And I don't know if you can relate to this too. It's like right now, what you're doing as content is really, really valuable. Like, I feel like I'm going to go and record myself talking about some of the even more painful lessons that I've learned this year. And some of the things that I'm not quite so proud of, that I'm not quite ready to share, it gets worse than running those ads to the wrong landing page people.
You're so not alone in that. And whenever you do get to the point where you're willing to share that, you're not alone in that. And you're going to make someone else go, oh, thank goodness. Like it wasn't just me.
Yeah. Right. But it's like, I want to get to the other side of it. And so, I want to document it so that when I do get to the other side of it, I can share it. But my point here, I guess, is just that everything's moving so fast. So, I really do believe like the best days are ahead of both of us, and probably all of us who are in online business. The longer that I'm hanging around in this virtual world, I'm realizing it's the people who stay and push through that make it, because it's the relationships that you make along the way with the people who stay that kind of pushes everything forward. So that's really encouraging and inspiring. But I just wanted to point that out, because there's going to come a time in the future where the people who need your services or my services are going to need where we're at right now. Yeah. And so it's really important to document it, even though it's hard, even though it's embarrassing. You don't have to share it.
Sure.
But or share it. Be like, I'm an open book. I'm just not ready yet.
That's okay though. That's okay. Like there's things in my life that you know about that I'm not ready to talk about, but I will one day.
Yeah.
So, like there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, once you have like a strategy, you can assess yourself against the strategy, talk about what you've learned, what you haven't learned, and put it into practice, like what B's talking about, so that you're doing it while you're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you an even bigger launching point,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That was kind of jumbled.
It gives you the behind the scenes content. It gives you stuff you can repurpose. It gives you stuff you can talk about. And then you have data that you can talk about. So
right.
I'm excited because it's, and I'll be learning stuff that I'll be able to help other people with. Buddy friend, what are you doing with your life? What is happening?
Desi's finally inside on the couch. But okay, so then it comes down to the 2 times a month tasks, which, are monitoring and fixing technical SEO issues, double checking credit card balances and document, which goes back to that money mindset thing. When things are not going well, I have the tendency, like you said, to just kind of, I'm going to put that in the closet and look at it later, Yep. But again, by doing so, you're missing out on the opportunity to still come out on top, because if you can manage your spending or cut back on certain things for a while, you still can, even it out by the end of the year. But if you don't look at it, you have the opportunity to make changes. Yeah. So that's something I need to do. And I put it on the list because it can get pushed to the side.
Mm-hmm. I hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then the next 2 things are obviously paying bills, and making like a couple days to do that. You know what I mean? Because I tend to have like 50,000 tabs open at a time. And
yes,
I feel like I work pretty well like that, but I know that I also work really well when I'm in a zone, and I can get into a zone. Just like, John was watching this baseball documentary the other day about this amazing baseball World Series game. It was like the final game. And the guy was like, I was in the zone for one of the first times in my life. And, when you're just in that, whether you're working or whether you're playing a sport, it's like, like you cannot be stopped in that moment. It's like the best feeling in the world. The worst thing in the world is when you stop yourself because you got to let yourself get distracted by something else, so really trying to
spending time like beating yourself up and spiraling.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it's essentially a little bit like time blocking, but I want to just set aside, these are the times I'm going to pay the bills, period. Yep. And that way I can focus on work at other times, and anything negative around money will stay in its little spot, and
you can give it a spot.
Day. Yeah. Yeah. Unless it's great. And then I want to celebrate it and look at my bank account every day and be like, so because there's been times like that too, I'm like, what? Yeah. This is great.
I got this and I got this and I got this.
Yeah. And then the last thing is like 2 times a month, I want to work on improving a workflow. What do you think about that?
I like that a lot. That a lot.
Because I thought
you doing that. I feel like you do that a lot anyway. So I could see that happening.
I do. Again, I've got to put it in a box, to like make it a habit. Yeah. And, like kind of make a list and say, okay, these are the workflows that I want to improve. Mm-hmm. And then, when it's time for that particular task or whatever, I have another list that I can work through. Say, okay, I'm going to work on this particular workflow. Mm-hmm. One thing,
this piece of the workflow.
Yeah. One thing I think that is a huge opportunity for us is that once someone has an audit, or even the private podcast, it's like setting up a system where we're following up with them in a meaningful way, because again, like I was talking to somebody the other day when I was doing an audit for them, it's like, it's so much information, but are you implementing it? And I think it was a Pagefly webinar that I was watching. And the guy said from the beginning, he said, look, if you don't do anything with this, then that's the worst thing that you could do, not just listening and not doing anything. So I actually, after he told us the first thing, I actually paused the video and went and spent 3 hours doing the thing he just told us to do. Wow. You know what I mean? Because that's how I roll. No time like the present. Right.
Yeah. Which is good though, because then you're motivated, you're getting the information and you can just like knock it out. That's great.
Yeah. But if people aren't able to do it in the present, it's like, oh, how can we, meaningfully follow up? And this goes for any of us, like anything in our business that we do to help somebody else, like how can we follow up?
Yeah, I have something. So actually just this week, I had someone get my, I had someone get my SEO checklist. And in that email sequence, what I have is an email where it links to a video that it's me walking them through the checklist and like how to use it. And I send it, I think out of 5 emails, I think it might be email 3 or 4, where it's just like, hey, remember this thing is over here and here, let me show you how to use it. The lady wrote back and she was like, that was so smart. I instantly went and looked at it and used it. And like, that was so smart. I'm so glad that you put that in there. And I was like, it's doing its job. This is great.
Yeah.
So yes, having those strategic touch points of, this could really help them to follow through with it. Oh, honey. So yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah. Strategic touch points. I love how you come up with like the really cool words for stuff like that.
Copywriter.
That's true. Good job.
No, baby, no.
Okay. So we're now getting down to like the actual weekly task. And this is like blogging, podcasting, creating the Pinterest idea pin. For me, I love to learn. So I wanted to make sure that I left time for like ongoing education because I am constantly trying to find out new stuff about whatever. Also personal time, because, if I don't schedule it, it's not happening. And then going back to YouTube, managing QuickBooks, double checking QuickBooks and Mile IQ. So that's for anybody who drives for your job. There's this app I love called Mile IQ. And dude, I don't know if I have an affiliate code. I don't think I do, but this app's amazing. It's kind of like the one that's in QuickBooks, where if you drive somewhere, it tracks it, but it, is something that you can export really easily and send to your accountant, with all your drives and your business drives or whatever. So that was a mistake that I made in 2021, because after 2020, when we didn't drive a whole lot of places,
you have to get back into the habit of using stuff.
I uninstalled it. And then I realized for my taxes last year, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't track my mileage. And I thought, I'll just do it. No, I'm not. That's not happening.
I have done that. This is part of why I like having a paper planner, because I've always done my mileage by hand, because I always forget when I get in the car. By the time I get in the car, I have put too much on my plate historically. And I'm just like, I got to get where I'm going. And I completely forget to turn the thing on. So what I do is I know when I went to the office, like for massage therapy, I know when I went to the office, or me and you going to WeWork. I know how many miles, I know where I was, I know if I went there and left for lunch and came back, like I know all of that stuff. So is it extra? Yes, but that's part of what I like about having the paper planner.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I just ordered a planner. I can't wait to show it to you. It was an ADHD planner. It was off of Etsy. Yeah, I can't. And one thing I noticed about her planner pages was it was kind of like this, how we're looking at multiple dimensions of responsibilities. And the pages, like there were some pages that were like this wide. And then there were other pages that were like this wide.
Neat.
So it almost reminded me of like, okay, this is like a monthly task list and I can flip it over and see the weekly or whatever.
That's cool.
So that's what I'm assuming it's like. When I get it, I'll let you know it's on its way. So
let me know. I love me some planners.
Yeah. If you like it, I'll get you one too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So, okay. So those are all the things that weekly need to touch on. And then twice a week, we talk to Selena about posting to LinkedIn, for the podcast. I think about it for my e-commerce business. I think about it for myself personally on my LinkedIn profile. So it's like, okay, technically there could be like 3 different pages to post to. But the idea here is that I'm, really strategically taking things from a website and bringing them over to LinkedIn and committing to posting those twice a week. Maybe I'll do it once a week, if
just start there.
Out.
Yeah. And
but
that's
then
even
the other
she said is like, start here and ramp up if you want to.
Right. I tend to like skip the ramp and just try to like do some sort of Superman jump to the.
And I think that's why we fall on our faces, because we're like, this is going to be fine.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Like that hurt.
That hurt really bad.
Excuse me while I recover from my broken back.
But then we stop. Because
Yeah.
we
My back is
jumped too
broken.
far because your back is broken and you need time to heal, and then you never get back on the whatever you fell off of.
Yeah, because it's scary. Nobody wants two broken backs.
I actually have a friend who broke her back. So
Twice?
no, she only did it once.
Oh,
She's a little firecracker though. Yeah.
Yeah. She okay?
She's good. She's totally good. Like
Okay.
I only know that she broke her back because she's also a massage client. And I'm like, what?
Okay. All right. Because I'm like, I'm smiling, but I'm like, okay.
No, she's good. She's good. I wouldn't have even brought it up if she wasn't good, but yeah.
Okay. I figured, but I thought, just in case this does go public one day, I want to clarify that. Like, she's fine.
We are not laughing at anybody. She laughs at herself. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then that other thing that Selena talked about with like connecting with people,
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know, if this isn't a video, which it probably is not a video, if anything, it'll be a podcast. We have dogs around.
We have dogs everywhere.
These dogs sitting, in addition to having her own dog, Jack. So the other dog is loving the camera. Now my dog woke up.
Maggie, like she has the most human facial expressions, and it's hilarious because she'll like give you the side eye, like.
Win Harden here from the Manufacturing Matters podcast, where we focus on the technologies and trends that are remaking the modern world. Today, robotics, computer vision, motion control, and artificial intelligence are just some of the technologies helping manufacturing companies to not just survive, but thrive. Manufacturing Matters will talk with insiders to separate fact from fiction, hype from reality, and focus on what's really important, making the world a better place for everybody. Learn more about Manufacturing Matters through the link below or checking us out on your favorite social or podcast platform. Because together, we can build something better. And that's why manufacturing matters.
Yeah. That side eye, Desi's
something
good
special.
at the side eye. Yeah.
Jack kind of does it, but he's more like, I'm judging you, like what's going on over there.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear,
Which is
but
actually
that
happening.
weird sound is my dog drinking water. So
No, I can't hear it.
okay. So, making sure that we engage with people for 30 minutes, that's going to be interesting for me because I've never really engaged on LinkedIn. I've shared a couple posts here and there, and I've made a comment, but never really intentionally. It's just been very random. So I'm kind of excited to see what kind of impact that's actually going to have over on
I've
LinkedIn.
done it, and I've done it like maybe more like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that after I'll post, and then I'll kind of hang out and see what else exists. The more that I do that, the more it's showing me stuff that I actually like interacting with. And that was one of my biggest complaints was like, I don't want to see, there's kind of like the typical post that you see on LinkedIn. And I was like, I don't want to see that again. Like I'm good. But the more that I interact with the stuff that I like, the algorithm is like, oh, okay, here you go. And then what do? I hang out longer.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like you said, I'm not really loving like what I see on LinkedIn. I'm kind of like, for whatever reason, these things aren't interesting to me. And I don't know like who I'm connected with that it's showing me whatever it's showing me. But yeah, but I guess if I go show the computer what I'm interested in, then the computer will have a better idea.
Right. It makes sense. But yeah, it does take a little bit of time investment. No, you're fine. I can't really hear her. I see your face.
Okay. Yeah, she's like having trouble with her food over there. I'm like, oh, gosh. But okay, so here's something that is probably the most important thing. Yes. And that is making sales calls.
You're going to do calls? Tell me more about this. Okay.
Outreach. Okay. So, we've talked about this before, collagewood.com. I sell photo props. One of the big SEO learnings that I've had recently, I don't even know if I told you this, was because I did some UX with research with photographers, and they were looking at my site. They were pointing out that like, if you're the type of senior photographer that goes out on site, like to the mountains or in the middle of a field or whatever, you're already taking a lot of equipment. So it's not likely that you're going to want to also take a bunch of giant photo props with you, it's just hard to carry. That's just a realistic example of why that's not going to work very well. So having said that, I then recognized the fact that most of my images, like from the professional photographer that I use to shoot are from studios. I mean, they have a giant studio. They're studio photographers. And so there's a difference between photo props and senior photo props and, studio posing props.
Yep. Yeah.
So so that's my new target. And that's who I want to call and make sales calls to, every week, twice a week, just contacting the studios, and set aside 30 minutes or whatever. If I need longer, great. But if I'm going to start with 30 minutes because this is really outside my comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm with you. No, I get it. Yeah. I have a friend who does a lot of cold calling. If you want me to put you in touch with her, she does it and she's like super confident with it and she's made a career off it. So if you need someone to talk to, she's your girl.
Yeah, I probably would love to talk to her. I do have some
broken
experience
back one.
Calling. Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, gosh. She is really coming up today. There must be a reason.
I hung out with her yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay. So top of mind. All right. 3 times. There's a reason. But yeah, I used to sell Yellow Page advertising.
Oh, no way.
So yeah. So I had to cold call on the phone. I had to walk into businesses or whatever. I love talking to businesses and I don't mind cold calling when I know what the, end game is. I wasn't as confident with Yellow Pages because I hadn't worked there long enough because I just show up and be like, you want to buy an ad? It's like,
well, this is also something you care about and you've created. So you're more probably invested in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which has its own pros and cons, but So I feel like that's a huge opportunity. That's a big one in the opportunity column there. And then for crystalwaddell.com and just improving, our SEO services and stuff, really engaging with those types of clients on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then 2 times a week, making time for client work. And then also the audits that we're doing. So, those are the things that I really want to focus on, making sure I've got time for twice a week.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would add?
I think for me, if I was looking at this for myself, I would need more time for the client work. And something that I'm trying to get better about is, and maybe this will help you, is that when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm learning. I've been doing a lot of research and listening to stuff about the masculine and feminine energy and polarity and stuff like that and how it shows up in my friendships, in my relationship, in my work, and just in life. And when I'm feeling overwhelmed, instead of buckling down and forcing myself to finish a task, I need to walk away. I need to go for a walk. I need to go cuddle with my dog. I need to go, out for a random date or something. I just need to walk away. And that is hard for me because I think it's more of a masculine trait to want to force yourself to sit down and just power through it and just stay focused and you got this. And I don't know if that was what was modeled to me. I don't know if that was what just feels like a natural instinct to me, but I'm whoa, okay, I got to walk away. And I've been doing it more and it's getting a little bit easier. And then when I come back to actually work, I am able to focus. I am able to crank stuff out. And so instead of giving myself this 3-hour time block of I'm going to force myself to get this done, it's you have 45 minutes and I'm super efficient with that 45 minutes. It's amazing.
I love that. That is so great. Because have you ever noticed that you're more productive at one time of the day versus another?
Always the morning. Always.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. I like grocery shopping in the morning. I like hanging out with my dog in the morning. I like doing my workout in the morning. So I can't shove everything into the morning. So it's kind of I'm still figuring out what my weeks look like. It's very different from massage therapy. It's so easy for me to see, okay, I have 4 massages tomorrow. And I can know what that looks like to manage my energy for the day. But it's very different when you're in charge of structuring your entire day in your home. And you have that window of time where you're really good. And then you have these responsibilities. So it's just okay, what do I need to do? And I'm trying to just let myself experiment. I'm okay, we're going to try this. Did that work? Yes, no. What do we need to tweak or whatever? And it's a lot of it is kind of a SWOT analysis for my time management.
That's funny. I love it. I realized that I'm more efficient in the morning. I used to get up really early. Like when I had a job, I'd get up like at 5:30 and
You do have
work
a job,
until,
Goofy.
well, I mean, a job that I was responsible to report to someone else. Yeah. But yeah, so I would do that. But now I don't really want to get up as early for some reason. And my time is most efficient in the morning. But one thing I realized is, like you said, I used to try to force myself at night to get things done. And it would just take so long. And maybe I wouldn't even finish, So I've had to say that to myself too. Like, look, you're not even efficient at night. You don't want to be working at night. You want to be with your family, or you want to be doing, XYZ. Go get your life back and just close the computer, and leave it alone. Pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that's really hard for me, is like, your phone can do 1,000 things. Your computer can do 1,000 things. And so I want to come on here and use this for a certain task, but I've got, like you said, I've got multiple tabs open. So even just like trying to start off on the right foot has been an interesting angle for me. So I will make sure, like, before I close the laptop for the day, it's like, okay, what are the 3 things I want to get done tomorrow? This. Okay, let me have those tabs open so that I can open my computer and I'm not tempted to go check on this, or I'm not tempted to go start this other thing. It's like, this is where I'm starting.
Yeah, I really love that. Okay, so let me drop down here to the last things, which are the daily tasks, which are checking email, responding to comments and DMs, and checking Etsy and Shopify and Amazon for, anything I need to handle there. Shipping products, designing products, because I design collages, any graphic design, any other client work. So I guess I kind of separated this into client work for one side of my business and client work for the other. Because right now, when you're shipping something in e-commerce, you have to kind of take it as it comes. You have to be able to adjust, and that work might look different from day to day. So, maybe shipping, I might be designing a collage, I might be painting. So those are things I need to block some time off for.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. But it feels good to be able to see that.
Well, it feels great. And, like I said, I then, kind of dropped in what I wanted to accomplish each day of the week. And on Friday's kind of my day that I wanted to take a look back at the budgeting stuff, and clean up QuickBooks, and, if I need to run a profit and loss report or whatever, if I can get these things done on a Thursday, because these things, my Thursday tasks are done, I'll definitely do that, because Friday, I really don't want to work. Friday's more of my personal day, and I love Crystal Day. And so, but there are things that I can do, that are annual tasks or monthly or weekly that are quick. And I can just knock those out really quick, and then I'm done, for the day, and I can go do my thing. But I feel good about this. I feel like you said earlier, even if I didn't accomplish everything, I accomplished something that's moving towards a goal.
And celebrate the little stuff, because it matters. Like, it all adds up. And I feel like me and several other people I know, like, we skip the celebration. Like, even with the training that I'm launching, my business coach, Meg, she was like, so how are you celebrating? And I was like, oh, that's a great question. Never even thought about that. Let me do this. So I think I ordered some tea. There was another friend introduced me to some fancy tea, and I was like, I'm going to get the big one.
Yeah, that's nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. But it was good. So whatever that looks like for you, to be able to go, this is great. Even if it's just the act of marking it off the list, it's like, you did it.
Yeah. This is so funny. I feel like this is going to make a really great podcast, but it totally wasn't a podcast, because it's we don't even have our mics, but
one of us might.
Oh, yay. Good for you.
You sounded fine.
Okay.
I show up prepared, because we never know what's going to happen.
Well, it's funny. I have my mic. I should just start like normal, but it's not plugged in. So
I think mine was on. I don't even know. Yeah, it was on. I wanted to tell you, and I think I've shared screenshots with you throughout the week and last week as well, but people comment that they love how, and people being podcast guests, podcast listeners, and just new friends that I've found, they have commented so much recently that they like how conversational we are. They like how casual things are. We had someone, our editor, was going through and editing stuff for the SEO Shorts episode, and she was like, "You can hear my kid saying mama." I was like, "It doesn't matter. Like, people like the fly on the wall stuff. It's, it's who we are. It's what we're about, and people really like it." So I'm really glad that we did this. I'm really glad that we're keeping it fly on the wall and like super casual and conversational, because that's who we are, and that's the magic we knew we had. And I'm glad that other people are seeing it too, because that feels really rewarding.
Oh, I know. Hearts everywhere. What's wrong with my heart? My heart's smashed.
Do your thumbs like this. Yay!
I did it. I made a heart. Woohoo! Thanks, B. Okay. All right. Well, Asher's here anyway, so this is probably a good time to say goodbye.
Yay. Bye, Asher. Bye, Asher.
Yeah. After we log off, I'll have him come over here and say hey to you. He's
okay.
Poor little baby. So, but anyway, thanks for listening. If this is a podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Thanks for taking a look and giving feedback. And I can't wait to see if, what happens with all of it.
I think we should put this as like a beginning of the year episode, because maybe other people would be able to feel empowered to make their own checklist situations. I like it.
Yay. Okay. All right. Let's do it. It's done.
It's done. It is done.
Check.
Okay. Mark it off the list.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this info, subscribe before you go, so you never miss out on something related to SEO.
See you next time. Hey guys, this is Crystal, one of your co-hosts from the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast. If you're looking for a unique, handcrafted way to spruce up your home or office, then collagenwood.com is the perfect place for you. We are a small, woman-owned business that offers a range of beautiful wooden signs for your home or office. Our talented team of artists will work with you to create a sign that perfectly suits your needs. So why wait? Use promo code SIMPLE10 to save 10%. Visit collagenwood.com today. Save 10% with promo code SIMPLE10. That's collagenwood.com.